Happy Valentine's Day. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining Renewed Mind Breakthroughs with Ashley.
And Colin.
So, today for Valentine's Day, I thought we'd talk about biblical marriage. So, we're no experts on this. We've been married almost 9 years, and we have had our fair share of struggles, been very close to it all falling apart many times. But we just want to talk about some things that have helped us in our marriage and putting God in the center. Like that. See this? Like, I need a relationship with God, he needs a relationship with God, and God needs to be the center of our marriage. So that is something that we've been working on, especially more recently, being very intentional about reading the Word every morning together. Except for on the mornings he has to work. Sometimes that's a struggle because I work late the night before. But whenever we possibly can, we start our morning in the Word together. And then, making it a priority to pray together, to worship together. And then also that our children see, that we put that as a priority. In the morning when we're reading the Word together, oftentimes they make their way in here and they sit down with us and just listen to the Word. And so they get to see that example of us putting, Christ in the center of our marriage and relationship. And it's really important, like we've been spending our Sundays, like focusing on God and the family. We want our kids to be raised, like, and show and be that, representation of what it looks like to have Christ in the center of your marriage and have God be first in your life.
So, I guess I'm going to talk a little bit about trusting God and what He speaks to my wife. My wife came to me with a dream she had 4, 5, 6 months ago, and it was given to her, by God, and she felt like she was supposed to follow that dream. And I know it's going to put a financial strain on our family. So, it was really hard for me to allow, go along with it. But ultimately, we ended up trusting God, and we've been able to make ends meet, and it's been okay. It's been hard sometimes, but we figured it out. And there's also something more recently that we had been thinking about and pondering, and we both, separate from each other, ended up coming to the same conclusion through things we've seen in our lives around us and, been spoken to by the Lord. Confirmation from God.
Yeah. So that's really important, like when it's such a big life-changing decision, that we are both separately praying about it and that God is laying it on both of our hearts separately. Like we kind of like we're talking about the direction we would go, but we weren't really clear on, the solution and the answer, and God laid it on our hearts separately. So that right there, it just let us really know that it is from God. That's so important when you're in a marriage. Like you can't just have one person be leading all the time and just always trusting. But if that person is like really strong, like this is a word from God, then we need to honor that and honor God and what he's putting on the other person's heart and be faithful. Like when Colin went along with, my God-given dream and, what it was going to cost our family, like that meant so much to me. And it's so important that we do, when God says something to the other person, that we listen to that. Like, yeah. And when, you're struggling in a marriage, like, that is when you need to go to God. That God needs to be in the center. Like, a marriage is never going to survive. You're two imperfect people with all of our flaws and all of, the craziness of life. Like, you can't do it if God's not the center. Like, if you're just going to give up on things, like, you just got to keep working at it and keep trusting God through it all. And, like, even right now, like, this is so uncomfortable for him. He hates this, but, like, it's Valentine's, and, like my love language, acts of service and words of affirmation, like, and he knows that, and so this is him showing his love for me, doing something uncomfortable, just like I know his love language. You can't speak to the other person in your own love language. Like, you need to know theirs, and you need to step out there and trust God. And, like, he's got to go to God, like, for words. Like, words, Colin, come on, I need some words. And God's got to give him strength in that area. And, that's just what it's all about. Like, it's not just me and him. It's me, him, and God. And then there's our children also. And so that's just some of our thoughts about biblical marriage on Valentine's Day. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. God bless you. If you got any value from this, hit the like button. Thanks for joining.